Well, hey everybody. Welcome to the update stream. This is Bugs here. I'm joined today by Artemis and Miss D. Say hi, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
So, boy, do we have a big one today. Yes, the world update is going live today. So, we've got the biggest changes to procedural map generation that we've seen in years going live in just about an hour. Along with that, we got a new weapon, a new personal diving vehicle, awesome new DLC. We got a new monument. We got a whole bunch of changes to discuss. So, as always, we're going to go through them. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to do at Misty underscore, that's me in chat. And we will get to as many questions as we have the opportunity to. As with all First Thursday updates, this one is expected to hit at 2 p.m. Eastern, maybe 10 minutes early. It looks like the client update is going to hit about 10 minutes before that, so in 50 minutes. Also, it looks like the server update is hitting about 10 minutes earlier than usual today, just given with all these world update changes, it is taking a little bit longer for the servers to update. Not a whole 10 minutes longer, but the devs wanted to give a little more leeway. So it looks like that server update is going to hit in about 30 minutes. And then the client update will hit about 20 minutes after that. And then we'll say the update is live. This does, as with all First Thursday updates, force a map wipe across the board. And there is no sign of a forced blueprint wipe, although many community and official and modded servers do choose to wipe blueprints when the update hits. The exception at Rustafied is with our medium threes, long threes, and mini servers. Do not wipe blueprints unless forced. And before we get into it, also, exciting time of the year, Charitable Rust is next week, a week from Saturday. So on October 12th, mark your calendars if you haven't already. This is our 10th year running. It's our 10th anniversary of running Charitable Rust. We've raised over $1.3 million for various charities over the past 9 years. And we're hoping to raise that to $1.5 million and over raised for various charities. This year, we are supporting Direct Relief, which is an amazing organization that brings aid to people in conflict zones around the world. And unfortunately, given all the, well, conflict going on in the world now, we felt that would be a very good cause to get behind. So everything kicks off. We've got Twitch drops kicking off that Saturday. We've got exclusive item store skins available that Thursday before, and all the proceeds of those skins go towards this amazing cause. We're going to have a weekend wipe custom 2x vanilla server where you can go and play and join in on the festivities. There's going to be talent shows, art contests, parkour, races, labyrinths, arcade games, all on a custom map. It's going to be an awesome time, so I really hope to see you there. And we've got a skin trailer we'll show you at about halfway through this stream here. But yeah, basically, just mark your calendars. 11 a.m. Eastern is when it pops off on October 12th, a week from Saturday. So, really excited about that. Now, let's get into this update. What do we have going on? Well, as I said, this is the biggest update of the year and one of the bigger updates we've ever seen to Rust. And when it comes to procedural map generation, it's literally the biggest change to the world generation that we've seen in years. There's additions of a bunch of new things. The devs have really knocked it out of the park here with just improving the maps, making them more diverse, adding new different landmarks, and all that stuff. So, as always, we're going to run you through it and tell you what you can expect for this update. Now, first and foremost, you'll see we're based here next to one of the new rivers. And these rivers are going to be found around the map. On larger size maps, there's up to 3 rivers from the looks of it. And then on normal size maps, there's 1, maybe 2, depending on the map size and how big it gets. Now, these rivers start up generally in higher areas with a kind of thin stream, and then they gradually widen out as you get closer to the shoreline. Now, along with just being freshwater sources and, a new way to navigate, they do have a current to them. So if you hop in at the top of a river to like a kayak or a boogie board, that current will actually take you down the river at a pretty decent click. And again, they widen up as you get to the shore and then they meet with the coastline at their widest point. The one thing you'll want to note with these rivers is the roads and railways do kind of just go through them. And when they do, if you're on a boogie board or a kayak, although the water flows under those, you will not. So you're going to have to navigate the road crossings of the river and the railroad crossings of the river. But other than that, it's smooth sailing down to the coast. And again, with the current, you pick up a decent click of speed. And these rivers look great, and they're bigger than any rivers we've ever seen in Rust before. Now, next on the list, we have oases or oasis. I never know how to say this. Google told me that the plural of oasis is oases, like Oases, and I don't even know how to say that word. So I'm just going to say oases, even if I'm wrong. But these are, if you know what an oasis is, well, it's what you would expect. You're going to find them in the desert biome, and they are kind of a break from the arid conditions around. They provide a source of fresh water, and also there's trees around them and some foliage and all that good stuff. So it's a little break from that harsh desert vibe in the desert. And now, with this world update and with all these new things, the rivers, specifically the oases, the canyons, and the lakes, they were originally marked on the map and labeled when it was on aux 2 as like Canyon A, Oasis A. There's an Oasis A, B, and C. And with all these, there's like, generally speaking, three variants. Now, right before this went live on staging, they got rid of those markers on the map. So you're not going to see like, oh, Oasis A on your in game map, but they're pretty easy to spot. You just look for the body of water in the desert and you can count that's an oasis. And as I said, they are three variants, but basically, there's generally, from what we're seeing on a normal size map, only two spawning. And so it breaks up that desert biome a little bit, gives you a good source if you're looking for wood in the desert or fresh water, or just some cover from enemies because there's a lot of foliage to hide in here. You can find those oases and get some respite from that desert aridity. Is aridity even a word? I'm just making up words on this stream, don't mind me. Yeah, we're just making up a bunch of words over here on this stream. But yeah, that's the oases. And next on the list, we have canyons. Now, these are really cool. And I mean, if you know what an oasis is, you probably know what a canyon is too. And so this isn't going to be like a new type of geological structure for your, brain to comprehend here. It's a canyon. And so basically, this is a kind of dip in the topology, and there's a lot of rocks, a lot of nodes. Occasionally, you'll find some trees. Like the oases, there's three variants, although, like all this stuff, it's no longer marked which variant is on the map. And what's cool about these is you can also build in them. So if you want to, there's some really new meta building opportunities when it comes to the canyons because there's no building block in here. You just got to work with the terrain. And so, definitely going to be some interesting base opportunities. Although, you will want to keep in mind people, if you build deep in a canyon, people on either side will have a height advantage to you. So, that might be tactically not the best thing to do because it might be hard, unless you build really high, it's going to be hard to roof camp on your canyon base. But basically, with these, there's 2 points of entrance on either side. It's pretty easy to see on the map where they begin and where they end. But that's not the only way to get in. There are cliff faces, in fact, the new cliff faces, which we'll get into right after this. But there are ways to get up and jump up when you're in the middle of the canyon, and jump down, especially, is going to be easier to get into the canyon. And again, there's a good amount of nodes in there and the occasional tree down there. So it looks like a good place to find some stone, some ore, and things like that. And you can build. Now, on top of that, you're going to find these basically in the forest or desert biome. I've yet to see a snow canyon. I don't think they have those yet, although I could be mistaken. But from what we've seen on the various maps we've generated, we see the canyons specifically in the forest or the desert. And I'd say probably more often than not, you're going to find them in the forest. And it seems like in the forest, they have a couple more trees, so a better source of wood. And yeah, that is canyons. It's looking like at this moment, there's around one per map. Although there's three variants, there's, as it stands, unless you're on a really big map seed, it looks like there's just one of these bad boys per map. And the A, B, C variants differ in size a little bit, but they're all generally speaking about the same size. They just have a slightly different shape and topology, if you will. Now, on top of that, before we get into the new cliffs, we also have lakes have been added. And like the previous two things, there are three variants in A, B, and C that are no longer labeled on the map, but they are easy to find as they are in the forest biome. And so they're just going to be the body of water you find in the forest biome. And these are a source, of course, of fresh water and some fishing opportunities. There's also some foliage around and some nice, you know, different features of the map around there. But it could be a good place to base up with a nice lakefront view and a good source of fresh water that's reliable and a good source of fish as well. And with these bad boys, it looks like there's about two per map spawning as well. And again, in the forest biome is where you're going to find them. And we did occasionally see a rowboat spawn. It looks like on this one there is a rowboat spawn. So you can occasionally find a rowboat and go out in the rowboat and fish in some of the deeper waters if you so choose. And probably going to be a bit of a sitting duck there if you do, because they're not that big. But again, they're just a cool new feature of the map and a good source of fresh water and a nice variation to see on the procedural map generation. Now, next on the list, we do have cliffs and rock formations. Now, this was a huge part of the world update and was being worked on for months. They spent a lot of time on these updated cliff faces. And you see them all over the map, not just around the shoreline, but you also see them. It looks like there's a bit of a return of the mountain as well that we're seeing, depending on the map size. And you're going to find these cliff faces all over the place. They are completely redesigned. There's custom ones for each biome type, and they're much more detailed and have just overall much more fidelity and variation than what we saw in the previous cliffs. There's some good opportunity for jumping up them and jumping down them and building into them. And now, speaking building into them, there's a whole bunch of new rock formations and the return of some old classic rock formations that used to be in the game. That includes the God Rock and the Anvil Rocks. So those classic base building opportunities are back, and they're a little different than what they were originally, but same general shape and concept that you saw. So some cool opportunities, especially if you're in a smaller group, to build into the God Rock or build on the Anvil Rock. And just some classic base building meta coming back with that. And on top of that, there's a bunch of other new rock faces and formations around, not only on the map, but right on the edge of the shoreline as well. You'll notice a bunch of new rock formations. There's this U formation that we're looking at here, and some various other ones that I think will provide some really cool base building opportunities and potentially really shift the meta of building, especially again for smaller groups in the game. And yeah, I just think the devs did an amazing job with the cliffs and these rocks. It really adds a lot more dynamicism and contrast to the overall map itself. And yeah, you're going to find them in every biome basically. So, another exciting addition to this world update. Now, next on the list, we have the new monument that goes live with this world update. It was originally called in commits, it was called Legacy Radtown, and with the goal of it being kind of a throwback to those legacy days of big and small rad. And then it was when it first went onto the aux 2 branch, it was called Toxic Village on the map. But what we've seen in the past week, as this has all been merged into normal staging and is about to go live, it's now just labeled Radtown, which is what it's labeled as you approach this Radtown. So when you're looking for it on the map, just look for Radtown and you'll find it. It's bifurcated by a road, so you're going to find it right on some road. It's surrounded by, mostly, I should say, by some stone walls for some protection and differentiation. And it's a lower tier monument, so you're not going to find puzzles. We haven't seen any scientist NPCs or adversarial NPCs there. But there is some good opportunities for some lower level loot. There's some wood boxes and some food crates. There is even a recycler in the back building. It's the building with the green truck sticking out. If you go back there, it's got three garage doors and one's open with the green truck. If you go back there to the room on the left, you're going to see the recycler there in a small room. And it's got a bunch of, in fact, little rooms in the various buildings throughout that you can explore, find some loot in, and really like hide in and take cover. And with that, you do want to be mindful. There is, as you would probably expect, in something called Radtown, there is radiation. Now, generally, we're not seeing too much outside unless you go like balls deep into one of the radioactive water puddles. But as you go into the buildings, there is some more radiation that picks up. So you will want some rad protection as you go explore this new rad town. But it does introduce an exciting new element to the game, which is that radioactive water. There's basically two puddles in the rad town. They're pretty easy to spot. They're outside and they're green water. So it looks, I mean, it doesn't look like you want to go up to that puddle and start sucking some water out of it. And from there, you can get radioactive water. And this is, to be clear, a new type of water in the game. And from what we're seeing, it's only found at Radtown. What's interesting with this radioactive water is it can contaminate other water sources and do a couple other things too. So if you collect some of it and then you come across someone, say, water catchers outside or something like that, you can taint their water supply, because if you have even just a small amount of radioactive water and you put it in a fresh water, you mix it with fresh water, then all that water will turn radioactive. And if you drink it, well, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to get some rad poisoning. And then what's also interesting is you can pop it, you can splash people with it, or pop it into a squirt gun and you can spray people with it and they'll get, as you would expect, irradiated. And then finally, what's interesting about this as well is it does act as an herbicide. It will kill plants when they come in contact. So if you spray someone's farm with this, it will kill the plants and stop them from growing and kind of ruin their harvest. So a lot of kind of griefing abilities and rust related activities that can be now associated and done with the addition to or of this radioactive water. So that's pretty interesting. Now, next on the list, we do have updated dive sites and new buoys to detect and know where the dive sites are. So the dive sites aren't marked on the map, but when you're in the water and you're exploring around, if you come across a buoy, then you know that is one of the new updated dive sites. And what they've done is they've taken a couple variants of these dive sites and they've really improved them. They've really added a bunch more details down there. There's like crabs and skeletons and starfish and everything down there. And basically, you just want to keep an eye out for one of these buoys. They're not the easiest thing to spot. I'm not seeing a ton of them around. I think there's probably like several per map. But they do have a fresh, updated design and layout, and there are like a couple types of buoys too. There's the cone, and then there's another like kind of diagonal reflector thing sticking out. But regardless, if you see a buoy like that in the water, that is indicative of a dive site below. And the dive sites have the loot that you would expect. It's the loot where you got to go down and untie it or cut it, and then it floats up to the top. And it has some decent loot down there. So, probably worth a plunge as you come across them. And especially worth it if you have a new DPV, Diver Propulsion Vehicle, which we'll get to very shortly. But before we do that, I do want to wrap up the other changes to the map and new features of the map that come with this world update. Next on the list, we do have legacy wood piles. And so these are wood piles. Ooh, the other thing about dive sites that I should mention is they have added shark spawns there. So when you go down, be ready because it's very often that you're going to find a shark or some sharks, in fact, down by those dive sites. But anyway, back to legacy wood piles. This is another kind of throwback to the legacy days. It is a wood pile that looks like the piles that we saw back in legacy. And it is a great new source of wood. You're just going to find them on the ground, and it's pretty easy to differentiate. It's just a pile of like logs, basically. And what's cool about this is there's no mini game. You just whack away. And they did nerf it a little bit in the last week or so. Originally, with a metal hatchet, we were getting 1,000 wood. When I tested just the other day, it looked like they had dropped that down to 850 wood and change with the metal hatchet. It does vary, of course, depending on what tool you're using. But nevertheless, it doesn't take that many swings to get through this thing, maybe six or so swings. It doesn't matter where you hit. And it's a good source of wood. So as you see these, you're definitely going to want to pick them up or whack at them, I should say. You don't pick them up like the other small things of wood. But yeah, good source of wood in these classic throwback legacy wood piles. Now, last on the list of world update stuff is the updated water wells. Now, this is an interesting one because on the map on staging that we literally just wiped and tested, it looks like we're not seeing the new updated water wells on there. And I'm not sure if they got pulled last minute or what. And this actually leads me to just acknowledge something with regards to map voting. And you're going to see this in most of the big servers that normally do map votes. The map voting didn't go as planned because Facepunch was, in fact, as early as this morning, still fixing and changing some things with procedural map generation, just fixing some little issues and bugs and glitches and things like that. And it's not surprising given there's so many changes and new features going into this update. But given there were so many last minute changes, we actually had to pull the voting. We started it briefly and we pulled the voting because all the maps that we put up for voting had subsequently been changed due to map changes from Facepunch. And we really couldn't finalize any maps. And a lot of them had glitches and errors and everything like that. So at Rustafied, we didn't unfortunately do any map voting this wipe just because it was so down to the wire. And we really wanted to make sure that we give you good quality maps, balanced maps, and ones most important that aren't broken. And so what we did, we went through hundreds of maps and we handpicked the ones that we think have the best balance of all the different things and the best building areas and inclusion of monuments and layout and all that stuff. And then we really tested them as best we could to make sure there's no holes in the terrain or floating rocks or anything like that. And we just kind of hand selected the maps for this wipe. I do think map voting should be back as early as our Monday wipe servers, but we really got to play this one by ear because given this is one of the largest updates we've seen in a while and literally the biggest changes we've seen to map generation in years, it's not a complete shock that one, there's some issues, and two, there's going to be some funkiness when it comes to getting back into that kind of groove of producing high quality maps and then getting them out for votes in time. I do intend that there's not that many issues with these maps, although also given the scale of this update, I really wouldn't be shocked if we see a number of different hot fixes and things like that over the next couple days, just because the map changes, there's new items, all that stuff. That historically speaking does tend to lead to more hot fixes than we might see in like a smaller scale update. So that's just kind of a heads up. Now, back to these water wells, what they were modified to have a bigger structure, to have an NPC that sells you items along with, it was like some equipment, some tools, even some guns, and even the occasional tea was for sale at this NPC shopkeeper. There were planter boxes added and a food crate added, which occasionally also spawns a tea or two in there. Now, the well we're looking at here is the old well. And so, again, I'm not sure if they pulled the new water wells at the last minute and maybe we'll see them next month, or if just the version of staging or the seed we got for this test was just off for some reason. So that remains to be seen. I'm going to, when our servers wipe and the server update hits, which literally should be in a couple minutes here when the server update hits, because it is, again, coming out 10 minutes early, just to give server owners a little extra time to update, wipe, and boot their servers. That whole process, especially the booting, takes a couple minutes longer just given all these new changes to map generation. So again, the devs did add an extra 10 minutes from when the server update comes out to when the client update comes out, now 20 minutes later. But we'll check our servers and see what's going on with the water wells. With that, we might just be stuck with the old water wells for the time being. And
There's
yeah.
someone is saying there's three different types of water wells, so maybe that's why.
Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing. There's potentially a couple different variants, and maybe just the new variant didn't spawn on this map. So it's all to say, and a good opportunity to say, hey, we're not developers of the game. We're just fans of the game like you who love reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can. But we're not on the Facepunch payroll. We're not developers. So we do our best reporting the best we can based on, the information we have and what we see. But some of this stuff, especially with such a big update, is kind of up in the air until, everything really goes live. So potentially this is just a different variant and, there will still be new variants on the map. But TLDR, the new variants have a shopkeeper that sells some good stuff and the occasional tea. There's planter boxes, there's food crates. There's just more going on at the new water wells. So they're not marked on the map. You'll have to find them. The NPC shopkeep isn't marked like some of the other ones are. And so, yeah, you're just going to have to kind of come across and find them on the map. Now, that about does it for what's going on as far as procedural map generation changes are and the world update is concerned. But that's not all we have coming in this update. There is also a new DLC coming out, the Frontier Hazmat DLC. And this is a cool group of new skins, including a new Frontier based kind of rustic hazmat skin. It also has the Frontier Hatchet, which is a very cool style, kind of rustic hatchet in the mix. And then finally, there is the Blunderbuster or Blunderbuss, whichever one you want to call it. And that is a double barrel shotgun skin. And boy, is this a big, heaping big guy. This is a long boy here. It's a long gun. I'll just leave it at that. It is a skin of the double barrel, but he's got some length to him. And they all have a similar kind of rustic frontiers vibe. I love the art direction they took with this. I think the hazmat looks great. The details on the blunderbuss look awesome, and the details on the hatchet look great as well. And all matching that kind of frontier vibe that we've seen with the previous Frontier DLCs. And this should be available, like all DLCs, on the item store very shortly. We don't know the price point yet, but it's probably going to be around what we've seen with previous Hazmat DLC price points, which I think was around $10 US. And again, yeah, it should be live on the item store and in game store very soon around when the update hits. Now, on top of that, we do have a new weapon as well. The high caliber revolver makes it in. Ooh, server update is live. Let me tweet about it. And let me change this little overlay. And shout out to Facepunch for getting this update out literally on the minute they said they were going to get it out. They got it out. So hell yeah, Facepunch. Not only did they work their asses off to get this update ready and provide us with one of the biggest updates we've seen in Rust for a long, long time, but then they are right on schedule when it comes to the update coming out. So hell yeah, and big acknowledgement to the whole team at Facepunch because this is no small task, especially when it comes to an update this big. But yeah, with that, we do have a new weapon as well coming out. Now, this is the high caliber revolver. And what this was, it started out kind of as a clone of the Python and then was modified to kind of be this Python on crack. It's got superior damage, accuracy, and range versus the Python. The only downside for balance purposes is the fire rate is slower. And as the name would kind of dictate, it shoots 5.56. It's a high caliber thing. So you're going to rock out with some 5.56 ammo. First pistol to not use pistol ammo. It uses 5.56 ammo, which is cool. And it can use all the types of 5.56 ammo. So again, yeah, you're going to get more power, more damage, more accuracy, more range. And the one trade off that you have is a slower rate of fire. To craft one of these bad boys, it is a level 2 workbench required. It's 4 pipes, 1 spring, 1 gear, and 6 high quality metal. So not too expensive. 125 scrap to research and a 30-second crafting time. And that is the high caliber revolver coming in as well. Now, next on the list, we've got the DPV. This is the Diver Propulsion Vehicle. And this is a personal propulsion vehicle for going through the water. And it runs on low grade fuel, as you would think. And it's deployed just like a boogie board. You can craft them, so you don't have to go buy one or anything like that. It's 1 tech trash and 15 high quality metal to craft. And it is a level 2 workbench item as well. 75 scrap to research based on what we were seeing, 30 seconds to craft. Oh, I just realized I have a misprint on my article on Rustafied.com. Oh, speaking of, as always, if you want to see this stuff in and reference it later in text and pictures, then head to Rustafied.com. I've got the full update post and the summary there of everything you need to know about what's coming in the update. But yeah, the diver propulsion vehicle skims through the water pretty quickly. You can skim on top of the water, or you can dive deep using control and shift, kind of like the submarine works. And low grade fuel is what it runs on. You can get up to a pretty good click. And this is a great kind of companion for the new dive sites that we have underneath the buoys. And also, if you want to solo or kind of hop on some scuba gear and very subvertly with your team get to one of the oil rigs or something like that undetected, this is going to be your guy because you can just go underwater for a good distance, stay undetected. You can craft them not too difficult. Again, 1 tech trash, 15 high quality metal, and you and your team can go out and do some SEAL Team 6 action going over to oil rig, which is pretty cool. And yeah, it's deployed like a boogie board, and you can pick it up as well. So once you get to wherever you want, you can pick it up out of the water. And yeah, pretty cool new personal propulsion vehicle for diving purposes and your water related activities. Now, also, there's a bunch of other stuff. Speaking of the diver propulsion vehicle and underwater activities, there are improvements to the brightness underwater. So, long story short, you can see a little better underwater now. It's just a little brighter and you can make things out a bit easier. So, that's pretty cool. They did some quality of life things like allow blueprints to be learned directly from a backpack. Also, to accompany the legacy wood piles, driftwood piles produce more wood when gathered than they previously did, so that's nice. They did prevent building around the Chinook hackable locked crate. It uses the same radius as the patrol helicopter crates. They fixed a bunch of miscellaneous bugs. This will be in the patch notes, and you can also scroll down to the bottom of my article on Rustafied.com to see all the specifics of the bugs that they fixed. But honestly, I'm not going to run through them all because the update is coming out in 15 minutes. The client update is coming out, and we want to show a skin trailer and get to some questions and maybe do a recapity cap if we have a moment. So yeah, check out all the miscellaneous fixes on rustified.com or wait like 20 minutes or so for the dev blog to come out. But we're going to field some questions momentarily, but real quick, I do want to show off the skin trailer for Charitable Rust. Again, Charitable Rust is coming a week from Saturday, October 12th. We're raising funds for direct relief, and there's going to be a Twitch drop campaign that starts that Saturday, the day of the event. And the Thursday before, we're going to have 4 skins on the item store. These are special exclusive skins that you can only get during the duration of this event. And best part is the proceeds of these skins all go towards this amazing cause. And historically speaking, that's where the majority of the funds we raise at this event come from. So we're really excited about the skins we have. And Artemis, let that skin trailer rip, and we'll see you in like a minute or two.
And we are back.
All right, welcome back, everybody. That was our little preview trailer of the skins coming with our Charitable Rust event. Again, that's Saturday, a week from Saturday, October 12th. And yeah, really excited for it and definitely check it out. But for anyone just tuning in, to give you a heads up, the server update is live. Here at Rustified, we got our systems team wiping and updating the servers and getting them up as soon as we can. AU region looks like it's already coming up now. And the client update is expected to hit in 10 minutes. So basically, at the half hour point is exactly when they release the server update. Again, they gave a 10-minute extra 10-minute head start this month just because the servers do take a little bit longer, not a full 10 minutes, but a little bit longer to start, just given all these huge changes to world generation. So if you are a server owner, definitely go start updating your servers. And if you are a player, get ready for that client update to drop. And again, that should be at the 50 after mark. So just in about 10 minutes. And as always, I'll of course let you know as soon as we see that client update drop. In the meantime, let's field some questions from Miss D. What do we got going on?
Hi everyone. What's up with the SKS? I don't see it in that hazmat skin DLC.
Yeah, the SKS is kind of like in concept limbo now. They had it, it looked like pretty much ready to go in the game. Originally, it was going to be added to a previous Hazmat DLC. And then there was talk about having it be its own new uh, gun because originally it was going to be a skin of the SAR and then it was going to be its own weapon and then they kind of pulled it out and we haven't heard much in a couple months on it. So it's in the game as in you can spawn it, but it's not in the game as it's in the tech tree and players can actually get it. So I really don't know what's going on with the SKS. We're keeping a close eye on that and we'll definitely tweet about it as soon as something comes out, but yeah, at the moment it's kind of up in the air and concept limbo.
I saw multiple people about the Oasis. Which, if there's more than one, a lot of people said it's called Oases. So
Oasis,
yeah,
that's what I was looking for. Thank you for that.
you're welcome.
Oases. I might still say oases, but hopefully I don't have to use that word. This is like when they came out with cactuses, and I was like, is it cactuses or cacti? With that, it's apparently both. But yeah, maybe I just won't ever have to say that damn word again. But oases. Thank you.
Can you build in the new canyons?
Oh yeah, you can build in the new canyons. There's not building blocked, although on the very steep terrain, you're going to have the normal issues that you would if you're like trying to build on a cliff. But when you're talking deep in that canyon, building is not blocked, so you can build your little heart out.
How big does the map need to be to get all the monuments in?
That is hard to say just because literally they were changing procedural map generation up until this morning, which is why a lot of servers, including Rustafied, weren't even able to run the normal voting process because it was so down to the wire with what they were changing and how they were changing it. I imagine once you get up to like 5K, you're probably going to get all the monuments, but I'm really not sure with that. I just, there were so many changes last minute. I haven't had an opportunity to say for sure.
Mm, is there a minimum amount of ratio or irritated water in it takes to poison another body of clean water?
I don't believe so. I think it's um, pretty easy. I don't think it takes much of anything. But that is a good question. I don't know if that's something we can test real quick, but I think it's next to nothing. I think it's just like one unit and it's getting poisoned.
How much less FPS are players gonna have now?
With regards to FPS, I know that's a very common question when they do changes to the map or they add things to the game. People are concerned that their frames per second are going to be lower on the client side. We did our best to look at that and we weren't noticing any differences really. It looks like although there are changes to what we're seeing, I don't think it's causing that much more strain on your graphics card than what it was before. And I know that optimization is something that the devs are really prioritizing, especially when it comes to adding new things. And so overall, I'm not going to say there's definitively no change, but I don't think it's very substantial. But again, this is one of those things that's going to vary from computer to computer and really be put to the test when there's a server full of buildings and five, six, 700 people in there. And that's when we generally see, performance take a hit if it is going to take a hit. And so we kind of just have to wait and see that one, play that one by ear. But I don't think, based on what I've been seeing, that it's very substantial.
Are the Twitch skins drop streamer for let me try again. Are this Twitch skins drop streamer specific or general or how long
No,
is
they
the
are
drop for?
general. So more on the Charitable Rust Twitch drops. It is going live. Not on. I know a lot go live Thursday, but this is going live with the event on Saturday, October 12th at 11 a.m. Eastern is when the Twitch drops are planned to start. And there's like 8 or 9 drops, but they're all general. So you can watch anyone who's playing Rust and has drops enabled. We didn't want to have it be like constrained. We wanted to give everyone the opportunity throughout the week to get all the drops. And you can see more on twitch.facepunch.com for how long you have to watch for each one of them. But they're all general drops, no streamer specific. Should be really obtainable for everyone during the week because, again, they're going to run Saturday to Saturday.
Is there any changes to fish traps regarding rivers?
Not that I'm aware of.
I just tuned in and I don't know if it's been talked about already, but about a year ago, I asked about servers with larger maps. And you said that there is a server with larger map in the works, but what happened to it?
Well, basically, my long-term goal, especially for our main servers and our long threes and our medium threes, I would love to have as big of a map as we can with performance still being, well, just that, performant. And the issue that we have is that performance is ebbing and flowing from month to month. Some months it's better, the other month it got a little bit worse. And so we are planning on increasing the size of maps as we can. And in fact, we did just increase the size. We put it to a vote. And for EU Long 3, those map sizes are going to be bigger. But with that in mind, it is going to vary on performance. Long term, I'd love to have, 1,000, 1,200 people on one of our main servers with like a 6K map. But again, performance hasn't really allowed for that up till this point. So we're kind of just playing that one by ear. And Artemis, what are you seeing with this water contamination thing?
That's it. I'm not sure at the moment, to be honest, because if you already have clean water in a container, it doesn't let you mix the two, is what I've found so far. And obviously, you probably saw there I was trying to test the pool to see if I could either put it in or just tip it in, and that also it didn't seem to contaminate it that way. So
Yeah,
I'm just
weird.
collecting a new one to see if there's anything else. Is it meant to contaminate lakes too? Should I try that? Or
No, I don't think it's going to contaminate lakes. I think
no,
that's too
no.
large of a body of water, but I
Same,
think it's
yeah.
more like water catchers and stuff like that. And maybe this functionality isn't totally complete at the moment. My understanding was it was pretty easy to contaminate, you know, personal water jugs and catchers and things like that uh, with mixing with the radiated water. But, it's a brand new feature, so maybe it's not exactly where the devs want it to be in the grand scheme of things at this point.
That's it. And the difficulty is I can't really set a water catcher up. I might be able to set one up and give it some water actually. Yeah, bear with me.
Okay, cool. And also, we're getting requests for Miss D to have her mic turned up. Can you boost that a little bit, Artemis?
Um, it will have to be from her end because you both are on the same
Oh, we're on
payment
the
at the
same
moment.
channel.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah, I'm gonna
Well,
pull
that's okay.
the mic closer. Hello?
Cool. Yeah, just
Just
swallow
didn't
that
want you all
mic.
to hear me breathe and stuff.
Yeah, there we go. And for anyone just tuning in, the server update is live. We already have servers updated, wiped, and coming up now. And the client update is expected to hit in just 2 minutes. So we are 2 minutes away from this update being officially live. After that, we should see the devlog hit shortly thereafter. But we are very close here to having the biggest update we've seen all year and the biggest changes to procedural map generation that we've seen in years in the game go live here momentarily. So stay tuned. I'll let you know as soon as that client update pops. And we'll tweet about it and all that good stuff. In the meantime, Miss D, any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, we still have a bunch. Again, one big question is always the EAC. Is that still an issue, or are they fixing it?
They are working on it. EAC, Facepunch are working on the hacker issue. They did ask official server owners just this past week how it was looking versus a month or two ago. The general consensus is it's about the same, if not maybe worse. So, although they're working on it, it's still a big fucking problem, if I'm being honest. And we still have well over 100, hundreds of people that we're banning manually every day from our servers. And we are working with our own in-house and developing our own in-house anti-cheat as we have been for over a year. We're working with a third-party anti-cheat. We just brought on a bunch of new moderators, an awesome group of people to help handle reports. And we are doing our best. It's an uphill battle, but we're doing our best to remove cheaters as soon as possible from our servers. As always, I do greatly appreciate those who report. You can do /report in game and Discord. And I do recommend our my.rustafied.com site because you can report there with a really easy user interface, log in through Steam, select the player, go through. You can get a report in less than 30 seconds and then mark that report ID and let us know in Discord, and we handle those as soon as we can. But hacking's still a big problem. But thankfully, FacePunch has acknowledged it, and they are working with the EAC to fix it. So I do look forward to a day where I can report with confidence that hacking is no longer a problem. I do intend we could get there someday, but it's going to just require more work and more time. So, at least shout out to FacePunch and EAC for working on it. And I do hope and intend it gets better. Now, with that client update is live. Look at that. Right on time, baby. Hell yeah, Face Punch. And I'm going to tweet about it. And I just updated a little thing. And with that, yes, go update your clients. If you're not seeing it pop in your Steam library yet, you can either restart Steam, or what you can do is just right click, go to properties, verify the integrity of local game cache, and then you can just quit out of that immediately. But the first step of that process is querying Steam for an update. So that can be a little shorter sometimes than restarting Steam, but you should see those updates pop here. And with that, we do say this world update is live. Let's see, do we have a dev blog going out yet? World Update 2.0. Hell yeah. Oh, I got a 404 on it. Maybe I clicked too quick. But
Can you just check your PM?
Yep. Ooh, and we got someone to raid here as well. So awesome. Well, we're gonna wind this puppy down. Go update your clients. A lot of our servers are already up at Rustafied. They're already wiped and already up. And um, the ones that might not be up yet, actually, I'm looking, they're all up. All Rustified servers are updated and up already. Hell yeah, and wiped. So game on. I hope you all enjoy this huge update. Again, a huge shout out to FacePunch for doing this month after month, week after week, and just putting their heart, blood, sweat, and tears into these updates and continually making this game awesome and more awesome from there. Thank you everyone at FacePunch, and awesome work getting the update out right on time, literally to the minute that you said it would. It's out. So hell yeah, I love that. Much love to you all. Again, we're not on the FacePunch payroll. We're not developers of the game. We're just an independent organization who loves reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can. And so I do want to say a special thank you to everyone who tunes in, all the support we get from the community, people who give bits and subscribe on Twitch, and to our wonderful, beautiful, loyal VIP customers. Thank you all so very much, because we wouldn't be able to do this without that support from you. So much love to you all. And thank you. A huge shout out to the whole team at Rustafied, because I definitely can't do this all by myself. And so thank you all. And a big special shout out to my co-MCs, as always, Artemis and Misty. Thank you for being here and joining me today.
You're welcome as always.
Yep, you're most welcome.
And with that, we're going to wind this puppy down. We're going to make sure the servers are running smooth. Keep an eye on those pops and just get into wipe day action. We are going to raid Mark Plays here. So stick around for a little bit and say hi to Mark Plays. Give him a follow, give him a sub, give him a poke. I don't know what kids are doing these days, but we're going to raid him right now. We will be back next week, as always, with an update preview stream. Same time, same place. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful wipe. This is Bugs, signing off. And just waiting for the raid here. Give it a second.